Hey, what's up? Sorry about that. My computer messed up a little bit. Welcome to the Normal America Show. It's a Monday, November 9th, 2020. So, thanks so much for being here. What's up, Epic? Thanks for being here. Let me start my podcast real quick. So, yeah, welcome to the Normal America Show. I am broadcasting on... Oh, look, my phone's chirping. Broadcasting on YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Periscope, and on Podbean, which will be uploaded to iTunes, Spotify, and other places where you can hear podcasts. So that's audio only, though. So that's only for the people that can't stand to see such a beautiful man this early in the morning. So if you want audio only, check out Normal America with Rob Noor on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, etc. Yeah, I shouldn't be having buffering problems, but yeah, it's great to be here. So, yeah, the week of the election is over, and now we enter the month of the election. So, we'll see what's going on. So, I got some things to talk about. It's going to be hard to keep doing videos every day about, well, the fraud that occurred. We'll talk about that pretty much every day, but that's not where I'm going to put the majority of the focus. So, let me just be very clear on my stance on whether or not this election is legitimate. No, it overwhelmingly seems that fraud was occurring. However, I can't 100% prove fraud was occurring on any instance. Now, I know that people on the left will jump on this and say, oh, well, how could you think it's fraud if you're saying you can't 100% prove? Well, because I'm being honest. For example, I can't 100% prove that O.J. Simpson killed Nicole Brown Simpson. But all of the evidence overwhelmingly suggests that's the case. The same with fraud. But if you were to ask me in the case of OJ, well, show me the one piece of evidence you think that definitively proves it. I don't have access to the evidence. And even if I did, it doesn't 100% prove it. It maybe 99% proves it. So that's my take on it. However, having said that, I do not think the courts will overturn the election, even if definitive evidence of fraud is presented, because I don't trust the courts, just like I don't trust the FBI. I think that the sort of corruption from those unelected officials seems to bite the average person more than anything. Now, I also believe that there were two ways that the election was stolen. There was the potential fraud on election day, and then there was the pre-election day stuff that went on. That is tech company censorship, almost the total control of the mainstream media by the Democratic Party and Joe Biden. The fact that they refused to report on incidences of his possible corruption, but they reported any innuendo on Trump whatsoever. Remember, if we use the Democrats' standard and the Biden supporters' standard, remember, they said the election was stolen in 2016 because 12 Russian trolls posted on Facebook, but they don't have a problem with the people that run Facebook being in the tank for Joe Biden. They said that publishing illegal information in the form of their emails stole the election, but they had no problem with the publishing of Trump's tax returns and talking about that, which was illegal. So it's clear to me that it was all in from the get-go, and that would be enough to swing elections. Professor Robert Epstein said that if things continued the way they were with tech companies, not even including the media companies, that Google itself would have the ability to manipulate and switch 16 million votes. So we're talking about some states, 20,000, 30,000 vote differentials. Now, again, I understand. You have to understand, there are hypocrite pieces of garbage on the left that will have talked about Russia, and how 12 Russians... These Russian trolls stole the election in 2016 that will now say, oh, it's absurd that anyone wants to talk about possible election fraud. All you have to know with these people is this. If it was the opposite, if we saw, Democrat officials not being allowed to watch the polls, if we saw Republican areas stopping the count in the middle of the night and then finding hundreds of thousands of votes that 95% of which went for Donald Trump, and then he was able to win days later. If we saw glitches that were switching Biden votes to Trump voters and then they found them. If we saw all of this stuff, you can guarantee that the media and the Democrats would be like, oh my goodness, this is fraud. But when it happens the other way, they're like, it's not like they're saying, well, maybe it's fraud. Let's look into it. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, shut up, Biden won. You're sour grapes to want to look into it. Right, Rational. That's what I'm talking about. So there was a county in Michigan that when you went to, it was 6,000 votes that were switched. The actual House, the person running for the House of Representatives that was a Republican goes to bed because the vote tallies in his county showed that he lost. He wakes up the next morning, oops, there was a glitch and they flipped, and now he wins. So, but of course, no one on the left has the ability to argue any of this. Their double standards, the hypocrisy, they don't care. They don't care at all. So we talked a lot about, the violation of Benford's law, which is a mathematical proposition that shows that any set of data that you have should have lower integers at a higher rate. So, for example, we're talking about the amount of people that voted when cast ballots for each candidate. You would expect in any given system for 1 to be the most common number, followed by 2, 3, 4, and so it goes down on a slope, as opposed to 9, 7, 6, 1, 3, all having an 11.1% equal chance of distribution. So you would expect in all of these systems, we see and Trump's numbers and Joe Jorgensen's numbers, everyone's numbers follow that except Joe Biden's. Joe Biden's are the only. Now, let me be honest. Does that prove election fraud? No, but that is one of the tools our government uses to look for election fraud in other countries. Another thing is unusually high turnout rate in specific areas. That's exactly what we see we'll have to see how many same-day voter registers we had in Wisconsin. But with the current voter registration, there was over a 90%, I believe, turnout with voter registration in Wisconsin. Right? The idea of the pens, I'm not so sure. I'll tell you this, I voted with the Sharpie. Everyone, we'll have to see what the reports are from my county, but everyone in my polling station voted with the Sharpie. That's what they handed out. And this is a heavy Republican area. We'll see. We'll see what that means. I don't know. I have no evidence. I hear the accusation that this means the votes didn't count it. It took my ballot and said that it was counted. But we also see that Sidney Powell's alleging that 450,000 ballots in just the swing states only voted for Joe Biden. That is incredible. That means Democrats were like, it's not worth voting for Democrat down ballot. I'm just going to fill out Joe Biden. Now, why would they do that? Well, possibly because you stopped counting in the middle of the night, saw how many votes you needed to make up, had to hurry up and get that many ballots, and so decided that you didn't have time to go down ballot the whole time. You just voted for Joe Biden. Either way, it's a discrepancy that needs looked at. And again, the fact that we have glitches in machines and the systems are used in over 30 states. Again, if this went the opposite way and Biden lost and we found out that there were machines that were flipping votes from Biden to Trump, you could guarantee that all the people right now that are saying, no evidence of fraud, would say, this is outrageous. Guaranteed. Then you had the fact that the media was calling places like Arizona. I mean, even if Arizona ends up going to Biden, the fact that the media called it is absurd. They called it like at 11 p.m. Fox and the AP. This was all designed. All of this was designed, including the coverage you see now from tech companies and the media. All of it was designed to gaslight people and to accept the theft of the election. If this was the opposite, if it appeared that Donald Trump won and Joe Biden was like, no, we see evidence of election fraud, we're challenging this in court. Right now, when Donald Trump would put on Twitter, I won, and all of his supporters would be putting I won, Twitter would have a little memo that said, no, that's not true. The election's not over. But because it's the opposite, everyone's like, Biden won, that's it. Right, Rational. That's a good point. Same-day voter registration would have favored the GOP, you would think, if voting in person favored the GOP. Now, again, the people saying that we're going to win in court, I don't think so. Think of what you would have to think to believe this. The deep state's so bad. There was all this corruption that occurs. The FBI is corrupt. A lot of these politicians are corrupt. A lot of these local municipalities are corrupt. But not the courts. Not the courts. They're not corrupt. They're the one place. Even though we could look and we could see the corrupt rulings that the courts have had in the past. Even though we could look and we could see, oh, look at how many conservatives are on the court, like John Roberts. There's a good conservative. Oh, wait, no, he votes with the Democrats every time. So what I think is going to happen is they'll find the courts will say, well, we don't see evidence that this was enough fraud to overturn the election, and so they'll bury it. And it's because you could already see the Never Trump people in the Republican Party. That's what they want. They didn't want Trump to win anyways. They want Trump to go away. So that's what the courts will decide, in my opinion. Now, before you jump down my throat, Trump supporters, I am one of the biggest Trump supporters you will find. I did everything I could to try to get Trump elected. I spent hours upon hours of my life. I did a 24-hour stream the day before trying to get Trump elected. I've gone to rallies. I volunteered for Trump's camp, making cold calls. Right? Me saying that I don't think that he'll win in court isn't saying I don't support Trump, nor is it saying that Trump shouldn't go and fight this as hard as possible. Does everybody understand that? Did I clear that up? Because when I say I don't think they'll win the court challenge, on other channels I did this weekend, people flipped out on me and like, you're fake, you're a Democrat, blah, 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 blah. That's not what I'm saying. Nor is it doing me any damage to say I'm preparing that he won't win the court case and trying to plan on what we could do moving forward if that's the case. If you're just saying, oh, he'll win the court case, what's your motivation if he doesn't? Are you doing anything for the future if he doesn't? No, you're saying it's out of my hands. The court will take care of it. We've won. That's nonsensical, even if it's true. So I'm planning as if they're not going to win the court case, which I would say there's probably a 1% chance of winning because of corruption. And if you say, no, that's not the case, who predicted this election would go this way? This is exactly what I predicted. Most Trump supporters were telling me he was going to win 48 states. It was going to be a red tsunami. I said, never underestimate the corruption of the establishment. I've been saying it for 2 years. The only reason Trump was able to win in 2016 was because the establishment believed their own garbage and they believed there was no chance Hillary Clinton could lose. So they took their foot off the pedal. They would not make this mistake this time. I was telling you in 2018, they'll intentionally collapse the economy. What happened? I said, if you think they're willing to do that, you don't think they're willing to cheat Election Day? And many, a lot of Trump supporters agreed with me, but many, many didn't. So when I say, I don't think the courts are going to act in good faith, I understand. If you want Trump to win, you're like, that can't be. Of course they will. I get it. And it's easy to direct the hate at me for saying that. I get that too. But I'm telling you, I just have a disagreement on whether or not they will act in good faith. That's it. That doesn't mean I want Trump to lose. Trump should fight this out the entire way. That's it. So don't get mad at me because I'm predicting that. I'm just trying to say, what can we do going forward? Assuming that the courts, if I'm wrong, I'll be pleasantly wrong. I'll come on and eat crow. I'll say, yeah, but I don't see it. All right, so Joe Rack comments, he says, I agree. As I said, concentrate in securing the Senate. So let me make Trump supporters even madder. Why? Why should I care about the Senate in Georgia? Give me a reason. You know what reason you're going to give me? The same reason that establishment politicians have been giving people for 50 years as they screwed them over. The reason you're going to give me is because the other side is worse. That's what you're going to say. Why should I care? First off, how is the Senate not already flipped? Let me ask you this. If we get to 51 or 52 senators, right, the Democrats would only need to peel off 2 Republicans to do anything they wanted. So here's the people you're relying on right here, right? Mitt Romney, he's in the Senate, right? What about Lindsey Graham? What about Susan Collins? What about Lisa Murkowski? We couldn't get, it was like pulling teeth to get these people just to vote for conservative judges. Mitt Romney voted to impeach Donald Trump. You don't think that he's basically a Democratic senator? You don't think that? Oh, man, got to make sure we get those Republican senators to win in Georgia so Mitt Romney's voice still matters. Let me ask you this. Has the Georgia Senate candidates, have they came out and talked about this election being stolen? What did they say about the coup against Donald Trump from the FBI? Loyal Logic says we need the Senate. They would overturn. Why? You don't think if they want to overturn the Electoral College, Mitt Romney will be right there with them. So will Susan Collins. So will Lindsey Graham. So will Lisa Murkowski. This is not Democrat versus Republican. It's establishment versus the people. Those senators I just listed and many, many more on the Republican side, they lied to Trump. They allowed the coup to occur. They don't care. They don't need to overturn the Electoral College. Why would they do that? Why would they need to? If your belief is they stole this election, and now they want to overturn the Electoral College, they could steal any election. Why would they worry about the Electoral College? Oh, okay. Mitt Romney and them stated they wouldn't. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, let's take Mitt Romney at his word. So what are we supposed, that's what this episode's about. So what? Let me go put all my energy into helping a bunch of rhinos that don't give two shits about me or the average American get elected. That's what I'm supposed to do now? I'm supposed to follow Ben Shapiro's model and Mike Cernovich's model. Oh, this sets us up beautifully for 2020. Trump lost, but this sets us up beautifully for 2022. Uh-huh. Hey, Nikki Haley for president 2024. Neocons for the win. Let's do it. Sounds great. Can't wait to go back to the Republican Party of George W. Bush. That sounds like a lot of fun. But hey, Trump supporters, get out there. It's real important we back these people because the other side's worse. And then on the Democrat side, right? What they'll get is, hey, you got to go back. Maybe you don't like Joe Biden. Maybe you don't like these politicians, but you got to back them because the other side is worse. Yes, Nikki's a neocon. Well, I don't know if neocon's right. She didn't give two shits about Trump and the coup that went against him. There's only one issue that matters. One. There's only one. Corruption. That's it. The fact that the American people don't have a voice. Regardless if this election was stolen on election day or if it was stolen in the days leading up to it with the legalization of ballot harvesting, the fact that these tech companies are censoring people, the monopoly of the media being all in for one side, all of our major institutions being all in for the establishment, including academia, the entertainment industry, Silicon Valley, the mainstream media, corporations. That's what stole the election. And what I'm supposed to do, fighting back, is support the Republicans that support those systems. Support the establishment Republicans. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'll tell you what, if the Georgia senators, the Republicans, who is it, Perdue and I forget the woman's name, if they want my support, I'll tell you what they could do. They could come out and fight against this theft of an election. That's what they could be doing. Anyone want to provide a link? Have they done that? Loyal Logic says they can't ever go back to the way it was, Rob. It's impossible. We won big this election, putting aside the presidential election. No, we didn't. You elected a bunch of neocons that didn't do shit about the coup against Donald Trump. Yes, we lost everything. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Until we Republicans, I don't want to say that. Trump supporters lost so bad that they don't think they lost, assuming that the courts don't overturn it. When you say, well, we lost Trump, but, look at it. We picked up House. I mean, think of what you're saying. We picked up House seats. Oh, you control. I had a friend of mine from a different country say, I heard that you won the House, right? No, we didn't. We just lost by less than expected. And we're like, that's a victory. We didn't lose as many seats as we thought. Oh, so you won? No, we didn't win, but we'll still call it a victory. America First is stronger than ever. Yep. Sure it is. Did the coup against Trump pay off? Yep. Did all the violence and stuff that occurred help lead to a victory for the Democrats? Yep. Nothing. Is anything going to happen to all the people that were corrupt for 4 years against Donald Trump? Nope. They win huge. You got America First patriots elected. Really? Is that what happened? So they'll be controlling the party, right? That's what'll be happening. I thought it would be Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and those people, but no, it'll be a bunch of America First patriots in all these House districts. Oh, they don't control the House. They don't control the House, but they're going to make a difference being the minority in the House. That this is when people say, why are you so critical of Republicans? This is how bad the establishment won. This is how bad we were crushed. We got crushed, and half of us are saying, yeah, we did it. We won, baby. Look at those gains in the House. Yeah, Lindsey Graham now. Woo, we did it, man. Yeah, we're awesome. How can you start to fight back if you think you're winning while you're losing? The people are more of a voice in the Republican Party now than they've ever. Hey, and Fox News said some good things about the Republicans. Loyal Logic, I'm on the same side as you, I am. You need to wake up, though. You cannot start fighting back if you think that this Republican Party that is going to say, it's time for Trump to concede. We need to move on. We're no longer concerned about the coup that occurred against Trump. If you think that party making gains is a victory, I don't know how I could help you. I don't. So we lost the president and that's it. Yes! Yes! Exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying. It would be different if the Republicans elsewhere in Congress were actually interested in fighting the only issue that matters, corruption. They are not. Did we elect 20 or so in the House that maybe will? Maybe. Are they going to have any sort of control? No. Did we prove that you could steal elections? Yes. So does it matter if 100 million people in 2022 say we want to end this corruption? No, because they control the elections. So it doesn't matter. It's that simple. Gordon Lightfoot, I got it right. Why am I talking about it? Because the only way we could move forward to take this country back is to correctly identify what the problem is. For example, how long on my channel have I talked about the problem of Black Lives Matter? Are there significant problems in the inner city black communities? Absolutely. Do I understand all of them? No. There are problems in my community that I see that people outside of it don't understand. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be allowed to try to have suggestions and try to solve it, but I'm just being honest. However, Black Lives Matter, the organization, well, one, at the top, they're Marxists that want to destroy the country, but the people that are legitimately supporting it, why is it that they can put so much energy into it and nothing seems to get better? In fact, it's getting worse. Homicides are going up. The more Black Lives Matter comes into an area, the more homicides go up. How's that possible? Well, it's because they misidentified the problem. They think the problem are racist police shooting blacks for sport. That is not the problem. And so when you start off misidentifying the problem, you have 0% chance of solving it. Similarly, if we start off here and say, well, the problem, we're well on our way to solving the problem. We elected the appropriate people to do so. Lindsey Graham and Mitt Romney are going to take care of things. The minority house is going to take care of things. If that's where you start from, you will never be able to solve the problem. When you're fighting a battle, no matter what the odds, if you have a stable back to you, you have a chance to fight forward. But if the people that are at your back are really against you, you have 0 chance. So instead of looking at the people that are behind us and saying, these people aren't our allies, instead we say, look at that, man. We won. We crushed it in the House. We lost by less than expected. What a victory. No, we can't. No, we don't have a path forward. No, we can't build more on what Trump's are. How? Through voting? So loyal logic, your argument would be this election was stolen, but we'll vote our way out of it next time. That's your argument? That's what we're going with here. If I had to choose between Romney and a Democrat, who would I choose? Caleb Grant asks. It depends on the Democrat, I guess, but Romney would be in my probably bottom 1%. I guarantee you I wouldn't vote for Romney. No matter how bad the Democrat was, I'd stay home. Or I'd write my own name in before I voted for Mitt Romney for anything. The first thing we need to do is isolate the people we think that are our allies that aren't. Lindsey Graham is not your ally. Mitt Romney is not your ally. Fox News is not your ally. As long as we keep saying, well, look, these places are doing good. Mitt Romney did good. Lindsey Graham did good. The Republicans in the Senate did good. So that's good. Oh, right, because the Republican... Let me tell you a little secret. Let me tell you. You want to hear some predictions? Here we go, right? The Republicans will keep the Senate. In 2022, the Republicans will win the House and probably keep the Senate. You want to know how I know this? Because the establishment on both sides, because it is uniparty at the top level, this is what they want. They don't want it to be too often that the House, the Senate, and the president are the same party. Why? Because it then might become obvious to the constituents of that party that these parties don't have their best interest at heart. Because if you have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and you don't get all the promises done that you promised, why not? So it's better for the establishment to have one party in control in one of those areas and the other party in control in the others. Because then they could say, the Democrats could go back to their Democrat constituents and say, ooh, those dirty Republicans, we would have got things done if it wasn't for those dirty Republicans. And the Republicans could go back to their constituents and say, ooh, those darn Democrats, my goodness, those darn Democrats. That's it. And the few times like when Trump won, which they didn't expect, now they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. What they wanted was one party to win the presidency and the other parties to win the other two things. So Trump had Republican House, Senate, and him. Have you ever seen a situation where more people in the president's party went against him? I wonder why. Remember at the House and the Senate, they were going to repeal and replace Obamacare? How'd that go? Did they support any of Trump's agenda? Nope, not really. But now those people are back in charge. Now we'll get an America First agenda. So yeah, the Republicans will win in 2022, and then we'll have basically Jeb Bush versus, Kamala Harris. It won't be Jeb Bush. It'll be Nikki Haley, Ben Sass. We'll get some cookie cutter neocon Republican versus some cookie cutter seemingly radical leftist that's just part of the establishment Democrat. That'll be our choices in 2024. And the people right here saying, but we changed things. America first. The party will never be the same. All these Trump supporters, those same people will be going, man, you got to get out there and vote for Nikki Haley. You have to. This is the most important election of our life. We can't leave a radical like Kamala Harris have the presidency. That'll be the argument. And there we go for the next 20, 30 years. Choosing between turd A or turd B. That's what's coming down the pipe. And you already admitted they could steal the election. Why do you think they would stop stealing it in 2022, 2024? You think they're going to take their foot off the gas? Oh, we stole the election from Trump in 2020, but curses, we weren't prepared to do so in 2022 and 2024. Not a chance. There's not a chance. They might release the Durham report, but it'll look kind of bad. They don't care at this point. What's it matter? Do you need the Durham? Is there anyone out there that needs the Durham report released? Anyone out there? Do you need to see the Durham report? You can't see that the FBI legally spied on Trump? You can't see that? You need to see the Durham report? Well, but the Durham report will be an official document saying so. Okay, so is the IG report. So fine, the Durham report comes out, and a Biden administration is going to punish those? Okay, Loyal Logic says, I never admitted they stole anything. There's claims. You keep overlooking what I'm saying. Fine. Loyal Logic thinks the election was legitimate and Donald Trump lost. Fine. I disagree. So now the people that, so is it starting to look suspicious to anyone out there? Is anyone starting to see it? So here's big MAGA first, Loyal Logic, who thinks this was a fair election. But I'm the one who's pessimistic. Oh, Trump lost. He was repudiated like that. Loyal Logic, it's one or the other. Was the election stolen or not? Loyal Logic says, no, I never said that. Was the election stolen or not? Loyal Logic. Yes, I could read. You said, I never admitted they stole anything. There's claims. You keep overlooking what I'm saying in regards to the stolen election. Was the election stolen or not? Right. Caleb Grant says, we don't know if the election was stolen. We'll find out when the courts tell us. Just like we don't know if there was Russia collusion or not. We'll find out when the FBI tells us. Right. Yeah. So I guess we'll just listen to... Read below. I did read Loyal Logic. You can either repeat yourself or I'm done talking with you. I read exactly what you said. Simple question, yes or no. Was the election stolen or not? That's it. Was the election stolen or not? That's it. You posted it 3 times. Isn't an answer? I'm done interacting with you. You could simply repost here now, yes or no, the election was stolen or not. Or you could be like, please scroll through the hundreds of comments you've got and find my answer. That is not an answer, Loyal Logic. Loyal Logic says, LMAO, you have concrete proof it was stolen, or do you have claims that need to be investigated while we do recounts and then through the courts make a ruling? What do you think should happen if not that? That's not an answer. That's not an answer. You're saying, I don't know. Okay, fine, you don't know. That's the answer then. So you don't know if the election was stolen. You'll listen to what the courts tell you. So if the courts say no, it wasn't stolen, then you believe it wasn't stolen. Got it. So just so you know, everyone that's Loyal Logic is the person here that's saying, I'm not sure if it was stolen or not. We'll leave the courts decide. But trust that the Republican Party has our back going forward. Trust that. MAGA first, Trump first. So there you go. That's the type. It's important to know who your allies are and who they aren't. Do you understand that? Do you see how many millions of people that are supposedly populists that care about this country? Do you see how quick so many of them will go, but support Mitt Romney? That's the real battle. That's what we have to support the GOP. That's the real battle. Loyal Logic, I get it. You're a good fake Trump supporter. I get it. Loyal Logic says, you have proof then? I'll bet you 1K right now if you could prove each state and the vote difference in each vote. Do you see? Do you see? Isn't this how I started the show? I said, of course I can't definitively prove. I could put a bunch of evidence that suggests it was most likely stolen. And the second thing is, before election day fraud, we could see how the game was rigged even beforehand because they changed the way we vote. They had total control over the mainstream media, over the tech companies. Loyal Logic, like a good Democrat here, is saying, oh, you can't prove it. Show me the vote counts in which each one's stolen in each state. I got it, Loyal Logic. We get it. But you're a Trump supporter. We got it. We got it. Trust the GOP. Yeah, okay. Done with you, Loyal Logic. Thanks for being here. But good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, anyways, the reason I'm interacting so much is so that you could all see what our allies look like. Do you see that? Do you see what happens? That's what's going to fill the gap. No, we're big Trump supporters. We are. It's a shame he lost. But we have to get on. It's important to push for these electoral gains in 2022. That's what's important. No, we don't. We're not going to relitigate the corruption and stuff like that. We'll just let it go. But voting in 2022 will make a difference. That'll change things. If you believe that, you'll never be able to solve the problem. It's that simple. So I'm glad Loyal Logic was here to illustrate exactly what I was talking about is the problem. Right, Whoopsie. Whoopsie says, I'm sure that people could prove it, but we don't have that power. We need the establishment to prove the establishment cheated. Exactly. Oh, now we have ad hom attacks. You're right, Loyal Logic. I don't follow you on Twitter. You don't agree that it's fraud and stolen. When I asked you for proof, I've done video after video showing the proof. I'm not going to rehash it with you. I get it. You're a fake Trump supporter. You come in and say, look, it really wasn't stolen. I don't see proof that it was stolen. That's fine. I already told you. I gave you. Do you disagree that the tech companies were censoring conservatives and Trump? Do you disagree that the media was almost 100% in and was censoring stories critical of Joe Biden? Do you disagree that the academia, Silicon Valley, the entertainment industry, and the mainstream media was almost all in the tank for the Democrats? Do you disagree that most of the corporations were? You don't disagree with any of that? Huh. Well, that's fair, Epic. Loyal Logic isn't fake. He's an establishment Republican. That's fine. I'm not saying he's an horrible, evil person. That's not what I'm saying. But this is the type of thing. You can't rely on people like that. You can't. And I'm here to tell you, yes, there are a lot of people that are going to understand that this was theft. They're going to understand that. And they're going to want to keep pushing for an end to the corruption. There are a lot of people. But there are a lot of people in the Republican Party that are like Loyal Logic, that are going to say, time to move on. Let's support neocons in 2022. There's a lot of those. So you have to take stock of who your allies are first. You have to. Not saying I wish Loyal Logic ill. Hope he has a great, successful life. He's not our ally. That's not what he is. He doesn't care about America first. He cares about Republican first. That's not what I'm interested in. And I'm a Republican. I ran for office as a Republican. And his response is, I've been rocking Republican for 17 years. I didn't vote for Bush or Mitt. Don't say BS like that. Good luck getting out there and voting in 2022 for establishment Republicans. Good luck. It wasn't stolen. This was a legitimate election. So, good luck, Loyal Logic. Feel free to keep posting, but I'm just not going to respond to you. So, that's the type. We'll have a bunch of Republicans. This is another prediction you'll have. Fox News will be incredibly critical of Joe Biden. They will. Hey, come on back to Fox News, everyone. Look, we have a great story out about Joe Biden's corruption. And millions will. Oh, wow. Wow, look at that. Brett Baer's got a segment against Joe Biden today. Let's check that out. That's where we'll be. Here's another prediction. This has nothing to do with Trump or Biden voters in particular. This is just who we are as a country. We proved the pollsters wrong, right? Regardless, even if the election ends exactly how we've looked, the pollsters were more wrong this time than they were in 2016, right? So finally, since we proved the pollsters wrong, they'll no longer have influence. People will stop listening to them, right? Do you really believe that? You believe that? Do you believe that's what's going to happen? That all of a sudden it'll be like, well, the pollsters were wrong in 2016, 2020. So all the people that hire the pollsters and feed you the crap that they say nonstop, now they won't be able to do that. Is that what you believe? You came back here Dean says, you came back here the other day because I seemed rational. What happened? Dean, explain to me, what were you saying to the Democratic Party when they said 12 Russian trolls stole the election? What were you saying to them then? Were you saying, well, this is irrational? Is that what you were saying? What were you saying when they said that it was illegal for WikiLeaks to release the information and that stole the election? Were you saying they were irrational? Were you saying, wow, I thought this party seemed reasonable? Is that what you were saying to them? I bet not. I bet you were saying, oh yeah, this needs to be investigated. It's just funny. It's funny to see these people on the left that, oh, Trump's a Russian. He likes getting peed on. We need nonstop investigations of them. Right, Rational. Rational says Rob has given proof of voter fraud. Yes, that's exactly what I did. And Loyal Logic, like a good Democrat, says, but that's not 100% proof. That's not 100% proof. Get out there and vote for the neocons. We get it. We get it, Loyal Logic. And by the way, you're not wrong for saying that. If that's the type of person you want to be, you know, and I'm sure it's the same with the FBI spying on Trump and the collusion. No, I'm not against an investigation. See, this is the problem. This is the quagmire they get. I've stated my point quite clearly. Let me say it again. Do I think the courts will overturn this? No, because I feel that they're corrupt as well. Do I think there's massive evidence of voter fraud? Yes, I do. But I believe that the deep state and the corruption is so bad, and the majority of the people in charge of the Republican Party want Trump to lose anyways. So the courts will go along with that. Then we'll see the Republican Party leadership say, it's time to move on for Trump. We need to become a reasonable party again. People like Loyal Logic will say, I agree. It's important to get out there and push these Republicans in 2022. I don't see evidence. The court said there wasn't fraud, therefore there wasn't fraud. That's what's going on. We need to be able to isolate that these people are not our allies in order to have successes moving forward. That's my own. Should Trump take every single step he can in court and elsewhere to show this fraud exists? Yes, of course he should. I just think that it won't work. That's all I'm saying. It's not self-defeating to be a realist. What is self-defeating is saying, we lost, but really we won. That's self-defeating. Right, Caleb, you're in Loyal Logic's camp. So, Caleb says, if you're not against an investigation, then how can you believe the unsubstantiated evidence can make someone guilty of a crime? Exactly. That's exactly it. So unless the establishment tells us a crime, then it's not a crime. Just like the spying on Donald Trump. Fine. Yep, absolutely right. And Flynn's guilty because Judge Sullivan says so. Yep, that's the way it works. If the courts say it, then that's the end-all be-all. If the FBI says it, that's the end-all be-all. So we have a bunch of conservative Trump supporters that say the establishment is corrupt, but I'll only believe the establishment when it comes to corruption. That's where we're at. Dean says, if you don't blindly believe Trump after 4 years of nonstop lying, then you're not a real Republican. See, this Loyal Logic, there's your supporter. Got it? There you go. You know, the people that voted for the guy who said the reason he got in the race was Trump said Nazis was good people. That's a lie. But they're going to tell you about Trump's lying. Trump said he only eats one scoop of ice cream, but he eats two. Damn it. What a liar. Oh, my goodness. Hey, good luck, Loyal Logic. Sit back, man. You're right. Loyal Logic, sit back. The establishment Republican Party and the courts got it all saved. I'm the defeatist. You're right. Sit back. Hey, everyone, sit back. It's all taken care of. There's no corruption. Corruption? What are you talking about? Everything runs in Washington as it should. Zero corruption whatsoever. All of those politicians, particularly the Republican side, they have your interest at heart. They really care about you. Oh, those dastardly Democrats, though. Oh, boy, they're bad. Ooh, they're bad guys. But the Republicans are all good people. They're great. No, I don't believe in violence. I don't believe using violence is the way to go, Caleb. I believe that we correctly identify people like you, Loyal Logic, Fox News, Lindsey Graham, Mitt Romney, a bunch of other people in the Republican Party that claim to actually care about these people. We identify you and say, we don't want to be part of your group anymore. We don't want to. Then there are people we could reach out to on the left. Now, I get it, and that's a more nuanced conversation. But there will be people on the left that think that by voting for a 47-year veteran of Washington, that they've just voted for someone who's anti-establishment. They're about to get a cold, hard wake-up. Now, we could reach across the aisle and understand that even though we might disagree with many of those people on the left on a litany of issues, that the number one thing is corruption. I would rather have someone I disagree with their policies in Washington that actually cared about the American people than the establishment people in the Republican and Democratic Party we see now. But we'll never get to that point if we keep thinking, well, our side's establishment's good. They care about us. We get it, Loyal Logic. You want Trump to win. But if the courts say that there was no fraud, then there was no fraud, and you don't care that the election was stolen before the election anyways, with the total control of tech, media, and all the other things I talked about. You don't care about that. It's clear. I've talked about it many times. You didn't say anything about it. That's fine. We get it. That's what we could be doing. We could understand that we probably won't have another president that cares about the American people for 20, 30 years. It's just not going to happen. If they stole this election, again, they won't have to change one ballot in the future. You understand that, right? They won't have to change one ballot. They don't have to. If they control all of the organizations that control the flow of information, they don't have to change a ballot. Do you think that the new Biden administration is going to rein in the media and the tech companies' manipulation of the narrative? You think that's going to happen? Do you think they'll be able to less manipulate the narrative going forward? Biden has been a respected public servant with experience, morality, and good judgment. Tell me, was it his experience, his morality, or good judgment that led to him eulogizing a grand cyclops of the KKK? Which one was it? I wonder. Right, JF Priest. What the Republicans did to Ron Paul in 2012 is what the Dems and Republicans did to Trump in 2020. That's right. So let's assume Loyal Logic's right, that there was no fraud, right? Let's assume that that's correct, right? That theoretically could be possible. There's a 1% chance of that. So let's say that was true. Then this is the argument that you are left with then. Tech companies, the media, corporations, the entertainment industry, academia is so powerful that they were able to drag a guy across the finish line to be president of the United States that couldn't get 15 people to show up to his rally, that has cognitive decline, that has no policy whatsoever. They didn't ask him anything. An empty suit, Joe Biden, they were able to drag. If they could drag Joe Biden to win the presidency, and there was no election fraud, it was just because they drug him. The guy was in his basement 80% of the campaign. If they could drag him across the finish line, is there one candidate that ever will run that they won't be able to drag across the finish line? Joe Biden's a test run for, my God, if we could get this guy elected, who can we? What are you going to do? They're going to put some radical up? They want to run AOC, let's say, hypothetically. What are you going to do? Put a bunch of stories about the fraud she's been engaged with? The tech companies will censor you. The media will refuse to cover it. The majority of Americans won't even see it. Or if they do, they'll say, oh, well, there's a reason the media and the tech companies won't allow this. If they could get Joe Biden across the finish line, who's going to win? Hypothetically, who's going to win on the side that cares about the average person? Who's it going to be? You think Google's going to allow that? You think CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times? You think the major corporations that back Joe Biden, you think they're going to allow that? Loyal Logic, again, I'm sorry to keep picking on you, but in response to tech censorship says, yeah, and both parties didn't do anything to address it because they don't care. That's absolutely true, Loyal Logic. Vote Republican 2022. Right, Loyal Logic? Wow. What's up, Cub Cuda? Right, Rational. And this is my point. I don't even have to, you don't have to show any election day fraud whatsoever to see how this was theft of an election. You don't have to. Right, Phil. And that's where Phil says you're painting a very bleak but truthful picture. Yes. That's where the pushback comes. I understand. Look, do you know how many more subs I would have if I just came out here and said the election was stolen? Get out there and support these Republicans in the Senate. We're going to win this thing. We're going to be back in 2022. We're going to be back. Man, this Republican Party, it's going the right direction now. This is what we need. I'd have way more subs. The courts are going to overrule it. Don't worry. Trump guaranteed next term. That's what people want to hear. It's not the truth. The people do not have more of a voice than ever before. The establishment's laughing at you. Go ahead, have your voice. We'll censor you when we feel like it. We won't cover any of it in the mainstream media. We'll call you racist and deplorable. But yet you have a voice. Will Biden do anything for the right or just ignore it once Base Liberty wants to know? Here's my prediction. I predict that you'll see some immediate lockdown stuff like that, mask mandate. Now, nothing will change. The mask mandate won't be enforced. The lockdowns will just be in Democrat strongholds that basically have had lockdowns anyways. And places like Florida with Ron DeSantis will be like, we're not going to follow this. But nonetheless, we will be told after a week or two of those lockdowns, that magically solved COVID. Oh, that's it. Now, you might say, but wait a minute, cases are still rising and things like that. Oh, but they'll say, all that matters is hospitalizations and deaths. That's what matters. Joe Biden solved COVID. Go back to work. Then we'll get a stimulus deal. We'll get $2,000, $1,200 that will be sent to every American. Within and I don't think they'll do anything very radical for 6 months to a year. They'll get into the Paris Climate Accord. That actually does nothing. We're already meeting our emissions and our goals under the Paris Climate Accord under Trump. But he'll sign up for it so that the radical left goes, yes, Joe Biden's doing something. Finally. So he'll throw them a bone, something like that. But he'll be pretty moderate for 6 months to a year because they want people to forget that they stole the election. They'll want that. No, we're coming together. We're sorry we called you racist. We're sorry that we burned down cities. We're sorry that we pushed for lockdowns that ruined your life. Look, we sent you $2,000. See, we sent you that. We ended the lockdowns. It was all Donald Trump. And then the teammate of Joe Biden will be the Republican Party. It'll be Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell. And they'll be saying, it's time to move forward. We have to stop the radical agenda that Joe Biden will be pursuing here in the next 3 years. So it's time to move forward. And we need to get back to conservative principles like in the party before Donald Trump. It's time to forget Trumpism. That's what we have to look forward to. And they will incrementally take your rights away and incrementally sell out to China. The tariffs against China will end. China will continue to have unabashed influence in the United States. We'll start a cozy relationship with Iran. Within 3 to 4 years, we'll be in another war in the Middle East somewhere. All the Democrats that tell you that they're anti-war will tell you you're a bigot if you're against the war that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris get us into because they're just stooges of the establishment and the military-industrial complex, just neocons. Don't believe me? I have people that I respect on the left that were celebrating on Twitter. Why? Because George Bush congratulated Joe Biden on his victory. You starting to see this? Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney's wife, big Biden supporter. John McCain. The Democrats that told you for years that they were against the Iraq war, they're more than happy to tout the endorsements of every neocon. Bill Kristol, Max Boot, all of these neocons that never saw a war they didn't like. They're back in charge. Congratulations. But because it's Joe Biden or the Democrats, it won't be that these wars are bad. Just like Obama's wars were. It'll be, these are great wars. They're great. You're a racist and a xenophobe if you don't like these wars. Epic says, I agree. Folks, including Rob, should be rooting for Trump and framing things as Trump fighting to maintain America's electoral integrity. How am I not doing that? I don't know how to, it's one of the most frustrating things to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I understand how humans think. I don't. Imagine this. Imagine that we're watching a baseball, I'm a fan of the Pittsburgh Pirates, right? So I'm a baseball game, right? And the pitcher's going into the 7th inning and he looks strong. The Pirates are winning 2-0. And the manager of the Pirates says, I'm going to take the pitcher out and bring in a reliever. And I say, that's a huge mistake. They're going to lose this game now. If I did that, would everyone out there go, oh, so you're not a Pirate fan? No, that's not what I said. Oh, so you're saying the Pirates should stop trying to win the game? No, that's not what I said. I said that this was a huge setback. I disagree with this decision. Similarly, if I say Trump should fight this in court as much as possible, In fact, I'll go further. I'll tell you in a minute here what else Trump should do. He should fight it in court as much as possible. But I don't trust Mitch McConnell, and I don't trust Lindsey Graham, and I don't trust all these people that were Republicans and sat there for 4 years and watched a coup against Donald Trump, and sat there and watched tech companies censor us and didn't do a damn thing, and sat there and watched the media be as corrupt as they did and didn't do anything. And when they had power, wouldn't do anything to push forward Trump's agenda. I don't trust those people. And then I get people saying, oh, well, geez, Rob's really letting us down. He's not supporting Trump. What are you talking about? I'm on the side saying we need to do things. The other side saying Trump won. Court's got it wrapped up. Sit back and relax. Pop the champagne. It's a victory for us. You don't realize how ridiculous you look to the average person? I remember talking to you, Loyal Logic. I absolutely get it. What does the past conversations we have to do with the fact that you're like, well, unless the courts ruled that there was fraud in the election, I don't believe it. And we're going to pick up gains in 2022, and that's very important. Are you saying that your past conversations prove that what I'm criticizing today that you've said is irrelevant? You know, there was this old, I can't remember the term for this, right? But there was this old story that I was told about competition. People want to support, no one likes a monopoly. Everyone wants some sort of competition. So let's say that you're Coca-Cola, right? And you're like, oh, we're Coke, we're the biggest soda company out there. And you're just dominant in the market. Now, you know eventually another company is going to spring up. You know it. And they're going to take into your market share. Because it's human nature. People are going to go, I don't want Coke. I want a different choice. So what if you were the people that own Coke and you're like, well, we're going to start a new company called Pepsi. Now, there's the illusion of choice. But either way, the people that own Coke are making all the money. That's basically what the establishment Republican and Democrat Party are. I don't mean down ballot. I don't mean every Republican congressman. I don't mean your friend next door that's a congressman. I don't mean the person that works at your school board. Your local politician. Same of the Democrats. There could be good ones in those bunches as well. But Mitt Romney and Chuck Schumer are in it together. Period. They don't care about you. They don't care at all. And when I see a crushing loss, if the courts don't overturn this, what I see as a crushing loss, it is disheartening to me. Instead of people just saying, yeah, we lost. What can we do to win next time to say, no, actually we won. Actually, this was a victory for us. How can we start to work to take back the country if we can't admit that the country's taken? And it pisses people off. I get it. I say this and they're like, no, we tune into you to hear happiness and we're all winning. We're crushing it. I'm sorry. That's not who I am. I'm sorry. I criticize Trump all the time. You know how many subscribers I lost for criticizing Trump in March when he started to embrace the lockdowns? You know how many subscribers I lost? Trump supporters telling me, Rob, if Trump said the lockdowns are necessary, of course they're necessary. I said he's screwing himself. This is all going to be politicized to go against him. They're intentionally collapsing the economy. Can't you see that? No, said many of the Trump supporters. You're terrible. How dare you go against Rob? Click unsubscribe. Okay, how'd that work out? I'll call Trump out. I'll call the Republicans out. I don't care. I care about this country and the people of it. That also means Democrats I care about. People that vote Democrat, not the party. Do you think that, regardless if you think the election was fraudulent or not, certainly millions of people supported Joe Biden. That's just true. You think they're all horrible people? Maybe there are people just like Loyal Logic here that's believing the media. They believe that the party has their best interests at heart. Okay, Loyal Logic says, he says, we made gains. We got America First people elected. You won't even say, listen, guys, we lost, but there's hope. And we need some good people. And let's build on this thing by getting more. Right. Because if the elections are fraudulent, then putting my eggs in the let's get more people voted for basket is horseshit. Right. Cub Cutter says it right. They're just sincerely wrong. Totally agree. I'm not saying don't go out and vote Republican. Go ahead. I could put energy into it. I know some great Republicans. You want to hear a great Republican? Go back and listen to my live stream show. Monday before the election, look at State Senator Mastriano. There's a person I'd vote for president, and hopefully he runs for governor, and I will be supporting him as governor. You know what he said on my radio show Saturday? He's sick and tired of these Republicans in Washington that claim to support Trump but never once lift a finger to do anything. I guess Mastriano's just, right? He must be full of it too, right, Loyal Logic? What a pessimist. What a defeatist he is. He should be out there supporting Mitt Romney. What is he thinking? You know, he just went out and fought for this country and then ran to serve this country, but he should shut his mouth and just back the establishment Republicans. Right, Loyal Logic? No, it's not MAGA's dead. Trumpism's dead. Sitting around and saying, but we could pick up gains in 2022 is what's killing it. What's up, Tiberius? Thanks for being here. My friend Tiberius, it's on the YouTube chat, had an excellent election forecast. I think that if we didn't see a lot of these shenanigans, would have proven to be true. But so what's the plan? One, okay, let me be clear again. The first thing you have to do, and I've said this 5 times on the show, let me be as clear as possible. What is the plan? Step 1. Correctly identify the problem. That means Fox News isn't your ally. Mitt Romney isn't your ally. Lindsey Graham isn't your ally. Saying, well, we could get gains in 2022. That ain't helping you. That's step 1. I would like to be beyond step 1. I really would. I would like to be able to talk about more things that we could do. I would like to, but I can't because half the Trump supporters are coming on saying this was an incredible victory. So the first thing I have to do is use my platform to say, no, it wasn't. So I sound like a pessimist. I'm not a pessimist, but that's where I have to start. Once you hit rock bottom, you can start to build up. If you get defeated and say, no, this was a victory, you're still digging that hole. You still haven't hit rock bottom. Number 1, identify the problem. The problem is Lindsey Graham. The problem is Mitt Romney. The problem is Fox News. That's the problem. Right? Step 1. Step 2, find allies wherever we can. And that's going to be real tough. It's going to be real tough for you to reach out to someone on the other side who's making fun of you, that called you a racist. And by the way, those people, don't bother reaching out to them. Screw those people. That's not what I'm saying. But there are legitimate people on the left. Some of them are Bernie supporters that really think that Joe Biden is going to change the establishment. And they're going to find out. They're going to find out hard that it's garbage. Now, you could laugh at those people and say, oh, look, Joe Biden got us into a war. How'd that go? You could laugh at them, and it will feel good to do that. Or you could say, look, we are up against an establishment that is so impactful, so entrenched, that we need to get allies wherever we can. Third, we need to understand that politics is downstream of culture. The chances of us getting a populist president in the next 30 years are probably less than 1%. It's just the truth. We had a chance, we lost. Because, and it's my fault too, there are tons of things that I could have been doing better. Tons of them. But we put our faith in the Republican Party. We put our faith in Lindsey Graham. He was going to show us evidence of the coup. We put our faith in Jim Jordan. He was going to stop tech censorship. They did nothing. They gave total control of the narrative to the establishment. That's what they did. And as we go along, tech companies will get more and more powerful and control a much larger share of the flow of information. And they have showed us, without a doubt, that they are unscrupulous and that they will devastate anyone who has a populist message. Yes, it's going to come for the left too. All of the people on Twitch that are left-wingers that want to make fun of me and say, we don't mind that tech censored us, they're going to come, the first time Biden does something that the Bernie bro crowd doesn't like, they're going to start censoring that crowd. That's what's going to happen. It won't be immediate. It'll be a gradual thing, but that's what's going to happen. They will get rid of voices that criticize the establishment on the left as well. That's going to happen. Politically, we've been crushed. Am I saying never vote again? No. What you should be doing is finding populist people that you could support, push for them, even if they're third party, and run for office yourself. That's what you should do. But let's be honest. You're going to put a lot of time and energy and stuff, and you might win office. You ain't going to win no major office, though. You ain't going to be president. Let's be clear. They ain't going to leave a populist be president. So we have to have small victories first. That's the key. We have to understand that politics is downstream of culture. So we have to get back into culture war. Period. That means probably pulling your kid out of public education if you can, because it's devastatingly bad. Support people. Support things like school choice and people, regardless in the inner city and rural communities or anywhere in between, that chooses to try to get education that's private for their kids, that isn't teaching us a bunch of garbage about how evil America is. Stand up and don't be afraid to be called a racist, as apparently one of the first things Joe Biden's going to do is put critical race theory back in federal curriculums. Don't be afraid to bow down. Don't be afraid to use your real name. It sucks. I get it. It's tough. But that's what we have to do. You have to show we're unwilling to accept this. Stop supporting, and I'm guilty of this, stop supporting companies and programs that hate you and want to ruin your life. So I'm going to be transitioning away from YouTube at some point. And not just not broadcasting on YouTube, but not viewing YouTube whatsoever. Right now, I don't have a big enough show, or don't have a big enough presence on other platforms, but that's eventually the plan. Or rather, you could use YouTube and use Twitter to subvert YouTube and Twitter. So to encourage people of how corrupt they are. Stop watching Fox News. If you want to watch someone like Tucker, don't watch it on Fox so they get ad revenue. Do whatever you can to go against them. If you have some sort of skill or talent that is culturally important, maybe you're a musician, maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a poet, maybe you're a carpenter. Whatever you have, your skills matter. Use them. Show by your deeds and your actions that you're a good person. You're not going to change people's mind overnight. What you do is you show over and over again that you're a good person, that you have the facts on your side, and you put forth that America First narrative in everything you do. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, well, what's that mean, Rob? When were we going to start to see meaningful changes? 20, 30 years? Maybe not in my lifetime. But it's the only chance we have. Tiberius says, Rob, I disagree with you. I think the Republicans see the writing on the wall. Many will take a more populist take, and then the up-and-coming is loaded with newer folks. Yeah, but they'll pretend to be populist is what will happen. Lindsey Graham's a populist, right? Hannity, I'm here to tell you. Sean Hannity, let me just say, there's going to be subpoenas coming. These subpoenas are going to be flying. There's going to be subpoenas that are so fast, your head's going to spin. Vote for me. We care about the American people. Lindsey Graham and Mitt Romney, we care about the American people. And there's a bunch of new crops of people coming up, and they care about the American people too. They really do. And they'll get elected, and we'll keep our power in the Senate. Mitt Romney will still be in charge. Just like think about this. Who's in charge in the Democrats in the Senate? Chuck Schumer? You think Chuck Schumer cares about the average person? It don't matter how many populists you vote on the left. If Chuck Schumer has power, they're going to maintain power. The establishment is not going to let real populism come up. If they could steal an election, what are you going to do? Vote your way into populism? Dean wants to spam, why aren't Republicans complaining about the Senate and the House being a fraud, all on the same ballot? I don't know. Why did 500,000 people only vote for Joe Biden and not down ballot? Yes, the fact that we're supposed to believe that so many people voted for Joe Biden, but then voted for Republican down ticket or chose not to vote down ticket. That's not proof that somehow there wasn't fraud. That speaks heavily to the other direction. Dan Crenshaw, Nikki Haley, Tom Cotton, Josh Hawley's good. Dan Crenshaw's a neocon. Nikki Haley's a neocon. Tom Cotton's good. What'd Dan Crenshaw do? Oh, it's time, it might be time for Trump to concede. We should look into this stuff. Dan Crenshaw, he's fighting real hard against the coup against Trump from the FBI, right? So is Nikki Haley. Oh, wait, they did nothing. But you're right. Those are the people that will be put in positions of prominence. Of course. Tom Cotton and Josh Hawley are good. They'll never be in a position of prominence. They're not going to be president. They're not going to be Speaker of the House. But that is my point, Tiberius. Right, Phil. Crenshaw is a turncoat. But there will be many people that say, Crenshaw, there's a man of the people. Only, let me be clear again in case people came late. There is one issue that matters. Corruption. Dan Crenshaw was willing to do nothing about it. He had his chance, chose not to. Same with Lindsey Graham, same with Mitt Romney, same with Mitch McConnell, etc. Right, yeah, we talked about Benford's law earlier, Chris. Yeah. Right, Biden's a neocon. The last thing that we could do, and no one wants to hear this. No, it's not that Dean says, you think Dems are smart enough to steal an election but aren't smart enough to vote down ballot. One, it's because it's not Republican versus Democrat. It's establishment versus non-establishment. And Lindsey Graham and company didn't want to lose. Again, I already explained. The establishment wants there to be a president of one party and to be the opposition in Congress. That's what they want. Second, if you stopped your count in the middle of the night and then were rushing to make up the votes to say, oh, we need to get 200,000 votes, maybe you wouldn't have time to fill everything out down ballot because you have to fill out hundreds of thousands of ballots. So you just do Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe Biden. Maybe they did it that way so people like you would say, oh, clearly it wasn't fraud, or the Democrats would have won everything. Here's the last thing that people don't want to hear. The thing that has the most impact over your life is you, your family, your personal decisions. Put your focus there. You still engage. You still do what you can. I'm telling you right now, you wouldn't believe how I've let my personal situation in my house deteriorate because I was putting so much effort into the election. Now, I still have the greatest wife in the history of the world. I love my family. I'm still a really happy person. I don't know how I'm going to make payments next month. That's how broke I am. I spent $8,000 running for office, refused to take one donation. Not one. I'm broke as a joke. I'm traveling across the state. I do a 24-hour live stream where I talk to like over 30 Republican officials. They're all making six figures. I'm out there every day. I have to focus on me and my family now. I'd still do this channel. I'll still do these videos in the day, but I can't put the energy in that I was before. I can't. And so it's a little perturbing when I see people saying, well, you need to get out there and support these. What are you going to do? You know how many people I've had call me? What are you going to do? When are you going to do videos promoting the Georgia senators? What are you doing? You got to support them more now, Rob. Come on. Are you coming to Harrisburg this weekend? No, I'm not. You want to know why? Because I can't afford to pay my mortgage. That's why. So I'm going to have to get a second job. That's what I'm going to do. Okay? But you go ahead. Keep telling me I'm not doing enough. I should be supporting the Republic. That's what I need to be doing, right? It's not all bad. Again, what matters at the end of life? What do you think? Are you religious? What's your relationship with God? Even if not, what's your relationship with yourself? Can you look yourself in the mirror? Did your friends and family respect you? Did you do the right thing by them? That's what matters. We're all going to die. I sleep like a baby. The only thing that's keeping me back holding sleep is, did I put too much energy into politics? when I should have been putting more of a focus into my personal life? Maybe, but I'll correct that immediately. But as far as did I do the right thing? Yeah, I did. I didn't sell out. And I'm not going to sell out. It's not happening. I'm not going to come on here and say vote Republican for the sake of voting Republican. It's not happening. And I understand that makes a lot of people mad. That's fine. No, I'm not asking for help and stuff. That's not what I'm asking. I mean, if you want to donate to the channel, that's fine. But that money is going to the channel. But as far as, I'm not asking for help. I'll help myself. Don't worry. And Janet says, have to keep fire under all Republicans or it does go back to the establishment. That's true. But how is saying, that's why this, I'll support the Senate candidates in Georgia if they come out and speak about the corruption. If they don't, I don't support them. I'm not going to support people that don't care about the biggest issue. I don't care. And I don't care how you can talk to your blue in the face, but you'd give Chuck Schumer power. I don't care. Look, you want to hear another difficult truth? Here's the truth. And I said this before the election. I said the worst possible outcome for this country is that Trump narrowly loses. The best would be Trump winning in a landslide. The second best would be Trump winning and it'd be close. But before Trump closely lost and we picked up some gains here and there, you know what I wish would have happened? I wish the Democrats would have won every single seat. Every one. Every single seat before this outcome. Why, you may ask? Won't they become incredibly radical? Yes. Won't they destroy our country? Absolutely. But maybe then we could get people in positions of power in an opposition party that would actually fight for this country instead of Lindsey Graham, instead of Mitt Romney. Maybe then we could get real people in the Republican Party because we could say, you people, you corporatists, you neocons got crushed. Get out of here. But instead, what we get is support Republicans in 2022. It'll be different this time. Trust us. They almost won. Down ballot, they won. Trump was the problem. Let's get Trumpism out of there. That's what I feel. And by the way, I've said this about the Democrats as well. To my friends out there on the left, I was like, if you're a Democrat, like the Democrats I knew when I was young were basically like union members. Like, but they look, today you would just call them Republicans. Hardworking people, working 9 to 5, working on farms, working as welders, steel mills, union people. They were Democrats. I said, if you're that kind of Democrat, the best thing you could hope for is your party to get crushed. So then people could step up and say, hey, we're going to go back to caring about working class people. That would be the best thing that could happen. But it didn't. And so now, as always, it's a close election, and the corporatists on both sides will maintain control. That's what will happen. And we'll hold their feet to the fire. That's what we'll do. Let's see how that works. They'll be on Hannity every night telling us, we're going to get to the bottom of this corruption. This time we got it. 4 years. 4 years. It's not just the United States, by the way. This is everywhere there's globalism, where the globalists are in charge. Check out the UK. Check out Brexit. How's that going? Brexit was voted for before Trump was elected and still hasn't occurred. That's how much elections matter to the globalists. If they win, democracy's great. If they lose, we don't give a shit. We're not going to accept it. It's what they did with Trump. But it's not negative. Like, first off, for people like you're yelling, I always yell. That's what I do. Anyone who's watched this show for a long time can see that. I actually feel good. I feel great, actually. Because I know I did what was right. That's all I can control. I screwed up. There's a million things I could have done better. And I'm trying to look at that honestly and see how I can improve. And I screwed up more than anyone. more than any of you watching. Why? Because I have a show and I knew this stuff, and I still wasn't able to get this information out there to people. Even if I would, one, my message isn't always the best. It's not clear as it should be. I could be using different tactics to be able to impart the message better. But second, I'm only reaching 50, 60 people. That's my fault. So I need to think what I could do better. It's on me first and foremost, period. Thanks, Denova Albertini. Thanks so much. So I will try to do what I can to get better. I will. That's not on anyone else. And I know I'm giving Loyal Logic crap. It's not fair. I shouldn't have given him as much crap as I did. That's not fair. But it's aggravating. Why do I have people ask, why does it seem like I get more upset with Trump supporters than I do with the left? Because Trump supporters I trust. I know they're good people. You know, if you're in your town and you see some crack addict break into someone's house and you're like, that sucks. I kind of feel bad for that person. But if it's someone in your family, you're harder on them because you're more disappointed. That's why I'm so hard on, a lot of the Trump people. That's why I'm so hard on the Q people. I agree with wanting the corruption solved. I agree with just wanting a government that cares about the average person. I know that's what most of the Q people do, but I see what they're doing as a strategic blunder, putting their faith in something. Thank you, Denova. That's incredibly generous. Donated $40. Says, thanks for being you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But that's why I'm harder. It's shitty of me. I know this. I need to do a better job of explaining this. I don't think they're terrible people. I don't think Loyal Logic's a bad person. I don't think Q people are bad people. By the way, Q people are very different. It's not one... they're under a banner, but many of them believe many different things. There's varying degrees. So it's not fair of me even to lump them all together. But I assure you, I think they're good people. I think there was a lot of good things and research that came out of that. The problem I had was believing that someone else is going to solve the problem for you. Trust the plan. There's this mysterious figure out there that's got all this solved. I never believed that crap. We're going to have to work ourselves to make things better. It's just the way it is. Little Logic says, I'm shocked. And I'm a good guy who's traditional Lincoln Republican. You really should follow me. I'll try to follow you. Send me a message on Twitter. I will. I just think I think you're making a huge mistake if you're relying on the court to tell you whether or not this election was corrupt. Yes, that is. Thank you, Janet. I do. If I just think about Hank, my baby that's coming here in January, that does make me, it makes me feel good. Jeff TV says Biden hasn't won yet. I agree. Trump should exhaust all options, but I'm a pessimist as far as my belief in corruption. I didn't think Trump had a shot in 2016. So for me telling you right now that the courts are definitely not going to roll in Trump's favor, I'm saying there's a 99% chance the courts aren't going to roll in Trump's favor, even though I think that there's obvious fraud. That's what I'm telling you. However, I also told you Trump wasn't going to win in 2016. And the reason is because I understand how corrupt the establishment is. My miscalculation in 2016 was I didn't expect the establishment to think they were winning so much that they took their foot off the gas. Something that I said over and over again, they would not make the same mistake in 2020. And they didn't. I said they will cheat. And literally, we had the entire media ignore a story of corruption with more evidence than the entirety of the Russia collusion crap that they spent 4 years on. We literally just had them all come together and say, yeah, we're not going to cover that because it's on Joe Biden. If I told people that 2 years ago, they would have said, that's impossible. Even Democrats would have said, no, that would never happen. Now, Democrats are like, yeah, it's great. We're glad they did that. Tiberius says, what should I do? I just went, one, we should, okay, I can't keep repeating it. So anyone who wants to know what we should do, go back like 20 minutes, and I spent 20 minutes talking about exactly what we should do. One, we should look at the people that we think we're allies and get rid of them and focus on them. Second, we should try to reach across the aisle when we can for people that want to fight corruption. Third, we should do what we can to stop supporting platforms, things like that, companies, etc., that were engaged in the active subversion of this election. Fourth, we need to look at ourselves and see what we could do in our personal lives and what our skills could do in culture, because politics is downstream of culture. What shouldn't we do? I have an entire video up of why violence is morally and strategically unacceptable. No, we should not grab guns and do something because it's immoral and you're going to end up harming a bunch of people that don't deserve it, and also because it's not strategic. The reason violence works on the left is because they control the narrative. Until you control the narrative, or at least have a foothold in the narrative, you will be crushed. The same police that you think that you support with a smile on their face will crack your skull in and send you to jail for the rest of your life. That's what will happen. And you will lose. And I know people think, but there's 70 million of us. There aren't. You will lose. So just get the thought out of your head. By the way, and let me be quite clear, I'm against the violence, morally and strategically, and I've said so hundreds of times, dozens of hours I've spent talking about that in this channel. However, let me just say quick, if you were going to use violence, announcing it on the internet, probably not the best idea. So if you're out there saying it's time to pick up our guns and stuff, you're making a big mistake. Just saying. Oh, no problem, Tiberius. No, I know. It's tough because people come in at different times. But I tend to just respond to the chat, and then I'll go back and watch one of my videos like, oh, I repeated myself 40 times because I'm answering, So let's get to some stuff that'll make Trump supporters happier. Let me finish with that. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be 30 years or longer before we get back in the political system. Again, and I also talked about the need, run for office yourself, run for local office, change your local government, do what you can. They're not going to be, tech censorship and media censorship and, the huge money that goes to buy elections and any sort of election fraud. Probably not going to happen at your township level. Might not happen at your state level either. So that's where you start. We have to change things from the bottom up. We can't expect to change it from that. We had a chance with Trump. Looks like that didn't happen. By the way, there's a lot of blame to go on Trump here as well. So, I mean, honestly, a bottom-up approach is going to probably take a long, long, long time. And I know people don't want to hear that, but that's just the truth. The left knew, the establishment knew, while we were busy trying to win an election every 2 and 4 years, they were taking over academia. They were taking over the entertainment industry. They were taking over Silicon Valley. What do you think would be best for the average person in this country right now? A Joe Biden presidency, but we controlled all of those platforms? Or Trump winning and they control all of those platforms? I'd rather control the culture, easily. Because I know at some point, by having those mechanisms, we're going to start winning even politically. And the politics doesn't even matter as much if we control things culturally. But instead, we control neither. So that's where we have, and it didn't happen overnight. The establishment didn't gain control of all of these cultural levers overnight. They've been working at it for decades. And so we have to isolate the problem and we have to say, now we need to work at it. They will become complacent. Their victory, their dancing in the streets, their hypocrisy for all to see, that's their weakness. Their arrogance is their weakness. That's why they lost in 2016. Now, they're going to be vigilant for a long time, because they know their corruption's been outed. So they're going to be vigilant. But eventually, they will become complacent, and that's when we'll have time to get involved again politically. Until then, we work on the culture. Now, what could Trump do? What could you be doing right now? If you're going to rallies and stuff, that's important. If you're telling people, tell people on the fence about what you see as fraud. My recommendation to you is to stick what you could prove. 450,000 ballots, it looks like, allegedly, only filling out Joe Biden in swing states. Computer glitch that switched 6,000 votes from Biden to Trump. Record turnout in places like Wisconsin. Stopping counting the vote in the middle of the night inexplicably. Keeping Republican poll watchers out of the polls. These are all things you could prove. The media calling places like Arizona with only 1% when it looks like Trump may even win Arizona? At least it's going to be incredibly close. So what business did they have calling it? But also focus on all of those things. Again, this election was stolen well before Election Day. Republicans let them have total control of tech. Republicans let the media control the narrative. Republicans let the FBI engage in a coup.